This episode had a lot of good points, including one of the most fun uses of the secret identity ever. On the other hand, it reminds me of why I cringe sometimes.
Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing.
Episode 2 of Supergirl, Fallout. And like I said, this is better than episode 1, and definitely reminds me of what I love about Supergirl. But when you unpack everything, it also reminds me of everything I dislike about Supergirl. Okay, so with the new season, we've got some new toys to play with. Very specifically, we have the fact that Brainy has replaced Win, and for some reason, we're using a superhero that was always a little on the dark side as our outright villain. And with that, we're gonna. Oh, well, some of you may not know what I do here. I review stories like this, but I also figure out how and why we tell stories, and then I put them all together. And part of that is trying to explore why we tell stories and getting to the heart of the stories we tell. If that sounds interesting, click subscribe. Mercy has far from made her name in the comics. She is totally a addition to the Superman legacy that is going to stick around forever. The fact that she and Lex have such a, we'll call it close relationship, is iconic now, even though she was only introduced in the cartoon. But let's throw this up there and get started.
So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. Ba-da-na-na.
So last week I said I didn't like the fact that I was pretty much on the villain side. A person who pretended to be human but was really an alien probably shouldn't be our president. And they actually managed to do pretty good at first. She's stepping down, and I have to say Bruce Boxleitner is a step at least in the right direction for who to play when you have to downgrade from this. But then we had the whole political rally and almost fight, and the whole idea that at some point this was supposed to be an analogy, and then booyah, we have the Supergirl standing out front of the White House with the flag. And remember how I said it was the good and the bad? Yeah, heavy handed as hell. But then we get the Mercy parts. And you know what? Mercy actually made a dramatic enemy. She also posed an actual threat to the show. And of course, part of that is what I was talking about before, the fun with the secret identity. Alright, so the idea of, maybe I should hide in a broom closet. Maybe we should separate. No, you're safer with me. No, you're safer with me. Was hysterical. The whole idea that since Lena doesn't know, it's really hard to separate. And then you sit there and you have this issue of you want to save the day. You want Supergirl to come save the day. Although the fact that Lena doesn't almost immediately put two and two together still kind of grates on me. It was a fun little exchange. And you know what? When I say that the writers do a bad job at sometimes doing the girl power, this is an example of them doing it right. There were three women in that set of encounters, before if you count the bad guy, Mercy. We had the secretary, we had Lena, and we had Kara in secret identity form, and each one of them contributed all the way up to and including Lena putting on part of the LexCorp battle armor. And I mean, that's perfect. There was no one person that needed saving the whole time. They took turns saving each other. They all were doing things. And that is the strength of the Supergirl show. When they get the ensemble right. One of my big complaints about a lot of the superhero shows is when people get written off to just being saved. And so far, Supergirl has done a really great job of sometimes even letting very powerful characters get saved by not so powerful ones, because you never know. And as long as I'm saying kudos, because I always give them shit about the SJW stuff, they introduced the idea of Dreamer being trans, and they did it perfectly. I loved the entire scene between her saving Brainy, to Brainy realizing that her name might have a connection to Dream Girl, to the fact that she had to come out to Jimmy. All of it was great, and it all felt real, and it felt earned. But even the goodness of that kind of made me more annoyed at the badness of the heavy-handedness of the earlier storytelling in the episode. It reminds me of when I was complaining about the love story stuff, when Kara was being written like she was 8 years old, even though they were doing really great love stories. We have characters that show that they can write awesomely, and then every once in a while it's like they or take your daughter or son to work day and let some kid write for the show. The show is showcasing that it is both at its best and its worst when it's trying to be cutting edge. And I love that. I loved the whole storyline of coming out to your family. It just didn't need to be over and over again. I love the idea of there being an ancestor to the Legion here and her playing such a big role. I love the idea of the empowerment of women because we really need that. But at the same time, you need to write it well. And you don't need to always sugarcoat things. And you don't need to write things out. And you definitely don't need a guy to just be the equivalent of the badly written female character. But overall, there was more good than bad in tonight's episode. Until that ending. Before we get to that, though, let's give a big shout out to two different speeches. One, James Olsen, who was obviously channeling Perry White there. We don't accept hate. The enemy is ignorance, and not each other. And Supergirl, in the aforementioned saving of Lena in the power armor, when she tells her, no, the Luthor name doesn't deserve Lena. Those were both really good, and whoever wrote those, kudos. Meanwhile, we have the escape plan that just required them to, I don't know, magically know who the prisoner, that they would be stored together, and that an Agent Liberty and them concocting this whole thing with the kryptonite. And what were they going to use it for? Oh, right. They wanted to steal the device they used to poison the Dax mites with the lead. And I threw a fit at that. Putting lead in the air was bad enough. Now we're putting radioactive isotopes in the air? I guess I need to give them credit that at least they weren't trying to convince me that this was the good action to take. Of course, maybe the fact that that came after that cardboard speech and that I don't even know what's going on with Jensen, that he just... I'd really hoped that he was going to replace them as, the field agent, but I guess he's going to just be a villain working with the Graves. And I'm still not fully feeling Brainiac not understanding hate like it's gone away by his century. But on the other hand, our new president is Bruce Boxleitner, and I've loved him in like everything since Scarecrow and Mr. King, so Mrs. King, so I'm gonna just say that the episode did end a little better in that regard, even though I still don't understand radioactive in the air is going to... But okay, so for me it was the best of episodes and the worst of episodes. What about you? Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of tonight's episode, and what it is you think is going to come next. I think that power armor that we were looking at in previews might be coming into play soon. And of course, this is the part of the video where every YouTuber asks you to give me a thumbs up, a share, and of course, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. Plus a big thank you to all of my Patreons who are helping this channel grow stronger. But you can help too. Just leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Supergirl, and what you think I got right or wrong, and why and how they're doing things. In the meantime, I've got a whole bunch of other Delantyverse shows to catch up on. I hope you have a good night, and thank you for walking with me through the heart of the stories we tell.